my fun little bear cups here. So I wanted everything to be similar. But I'm actually going to make 3 different kinds of this cocktail, essentially, today. So Sidecar, I wanted to give you a little bit of history about it, and I kind of went on a tangent in the last class, so I'll try to control myself because I find it very exciting. But a lot of the knowledge surrounding...
I like the drinking part.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it first, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the history of this cocktail as we go on. So we've got our Sidecar cocktail mix here, and this is enough for 2. Don't necessarily do as I do because I'm going to stretch it for 3 just for demonstrations purposes, but you should be making 2 at home. And so you have a total of 4 ounces of this mixer. You're going to add 2 ounces of the mixer and 2 ounces of your spirit of choice, which traditionally is going to be cognac. So I've got a little bottle of Hennessy here first. If you don't have cognac at home, which I know is kind of an obscure thing to have in your bar, if you purchased it, that's awesome. You're getting this authentic experience, but you can also utilize whiskey, or even if you have brandy at home, are perfectly acceptable too. Mm-hmm. And then if you're not drinking, as always, it's all cooked out, what's in the mixer. So you can mix that plus a little sparkling water if you'd like, or any extra juice. You can supplement it with a little more orange juice if you'd like. But what's in the mixer today is a simple syrup that's made with Cointreau and cognac as well. And then that's been steeped with chamomile and chrysanthemum flowers. And then we added a little bit of lemon juice and orange juice. Awesome.
We got one question here. Mm-hmm. Would Porto work for this cocktail from Gonka?
Like port wine? I don't think so. I would say, if you have, depending on what kind of brandy you have, if it's like a darker brandy, I would use that. Basically, just going into the argument's sake, this cocktail originated using brandy, but there are so many like kind of variants within brandy, depending on what wine you make it from, that they wanted to have something more across the board that was like cognac, which has a lot of very specific instructions as you go to make it. It like, just like you think of DOCG wine or like AOC or things that are specific, kind of, it has to be aged for 2 years, and there are a lot of details you have to follow. So they really wanted to switch it over to using cognac so that everyone, regardless of where you were in the country, could kind of have a similar drinking experience. So it was originally done with brandy, but now has more commonly been served with cognac. But either are perfectly acceptable. Rum is also awesome. Yeah, I would say if you're gonna do that, do like a gold rum, maybe not necessarily a dark rum, but like barrel aged rum would be beautiful too. Cool. So we'll go into making this little guy. All right. So for these purposes, and then you've got your garnish in here, right? So I'm gonna lay these off to the side, and that's how we're gonna garnish it at the end. So I'm gonna divide this. Like I said, you guys are gonna be dividing this in half. I'm gonna make mine a little bit shorter and divide it by 3, and then 2 ounces of your spirit of choice.
And so if they don't have Hennessy on hand, do you think that says positive things about their life choices or negative things about their life choices?
I think that just says, I don't think that says anything. I think they're going to be just fine. Perfect. So for the first one, like we mentioned, I'm going to put 2 ounces of Hennessy here. I'm going to use one of my lovely little garnishes. Spin that around and put that in here. And then, pardon me, Jason, I'm going to borrow your spoon, fork for a second. Stir that guy up. Fabulous. There you are. And then our next one, as I mentioned, so this cocktail, since it originated with brandy, it actually had all different ingredients than what we know of now. So a traditional recipe will be cognac, a little bit of Cointreau, and then lemon juice. And like probably about 50 years ago, they would serve it up in a sugar rim, but I think now it's more common to have it on the rocks and no sugar. But originally, when this cocktail came about, even before it was necessarily named the Sidecar, it was a derivative of something that involved brandy, orange curacao, and lemon juice as well. And so like I explained, brandy, it had too many variants, and so they wanted to create something that was a little bit more of a stable base to build on. But I'm going to add a little bit of brandy to my second one and give that to Ian here. So that's certainly doable as well. And I got a little pear brandy from St. George.
Nice.
And then top that. And then when the everyone's probably heard of Curacao, but more in like tropical drinks, or if you remember having something like blue Curacao in college, it's definitely like the not desirable liqueur of choice. But you can find dried Curacao that's really kind of high end and luxury. And so it was made from an island that was owned by Spain. And so on this island, all of these really bitter oranges grew. And so they started making this, it wasn't really like a monitored orange liqueur. And so it was very like erratic. Like sometimes it would be really sweet and sometimes it would be really bitter. And so what they did with that is they were like, okay, Cointreau is this orange liqueur that's becoming very popular. Why don't we just switch that out? And so that kind of changed to stabilize it again. And so yeah, sorry. Okay. So that's another option. And then I find that if you are not someone that especially likes kind of like these caramelized notes or anything that's a little syrupy, for lack of a better word, you can certainly use whiskey, and that'll be perfectly acceptable in this cocktail. So I'm going to do one like that too and hand that to Brett.
Looks like we have some fans of these bear glasses here.
Thanks. So a lot of fun options, and the cocktail was originally thought to originated in London and Paris, and they kind of fought over that right at the end of World War I. And so that was when Escoffier was at the Ritz Hotel. And so it's kind of cool to think about this cocktail and pairing it with cuisine, and the fact that, you know, he was at two different places, like the Carlton Hotel in London and the Ritz Hotel in Paris at both of these times, kind of towards the end of his career. And I thought that was really exciting to learn too. So sorry, I'm done talking about cocktail history, but I think it's important to know, and I think it makes, you know, each cocktail really important. You can, you know, stick to your vodka soda, but there's a lot of history behind things that are classic like this, and it's fun to share.
In the last class, Sarah said everyone's, what did you say about drinking history?
You're just like drinking a little bit of history.
Drinking a little bit of history. So anybody out there been consuming a lot of history since the pandemic has started? All right. Cheers, guys.